Welcome to Mining Now. We have got a company that we featured on a different series, but now we're going to bring them over to the mining side because they're big in that sector and provide a lot of value. If you've watched the show, we've done tire episodes and talked about the costs of of OTR tires. So they're helping keep them on the road and keep them from wearing out that much faster. So we have Lee Demis on the show from Doran Manufacturing. Lee, welcome to the show. Great to have you back on.
Thanks, Jared. Appreciate you having me back.
Okay, for anybody who is watching on the mining side that hasn't heard of Duran before, can you just give us a snapshot of who the company is?
Sure, I'll give you a quick 30,000-foot flyby. Duran was founded in 1953 in Cincinnati, Ohio, and our primary solutions that we provide today are tire pressure and temperature monitoring systems for a variety of different applications. Obviously, mining, earth mover, construction, as well as on-highway applications, tractor trailers, ready-mix concrete, as well as agriculture equipment.
And we really focused on the on highway last time. So you've been so we're going to focus on the OTR side a lot more this time. Hey, where did it start off? How long ago did Duran move into the off road space?
Sure. So we ventured off the road beginning in 2009, and first generation of those products were I won't call them an utter failure, but they didn't work that great. Occasionally they would work, most of the time they wouldn't. But we knew that there was a need for this type of product with these large mining, earth moving, construction pieces of equipment and the OTR tires. So we put a few years of development, hard work from the engineering side, a lot of patience from the customer side out in the field. And in 2014, brought a solution to market that's been incredibly powerful to help improve the uptime of equipment by saving tires, notifying operators and control rooms when they have a low pressure issue or a high temperature issue, also improving the safety of the equipment.
The main challenge was just how rugged a lot of the environments that these are operating in, right?
It was in a way. We knew that it was an extreme application, high temperature, low temperatures. Just the rugged environmental conditions on the roads, the haul roads, impact from rocks and so forth. The durability of the sensor from the outside was never really the issue. What we encountered with that we were a little bit unaware of heading in was that many of these tires utilize liquids inside of them to prevent corrosion, possibly to provide ballast. So you mix liquids with an electronic sensor, and the two don't mesh all that well until we were able to figure out how to do that effectively.
Oh, we've done episodes about those liquids in those tires actually from a couple of different angles. So fortunately, I actually know about that. So how long did that take to? You said patience from your clients. You had that. So did you had people that you were working with out in the field testing them, making sure they were up to par to go on a large scale?
We did. We've in the off road space, Duran works with customers through a variety of ways, a variety of channels. We can work directly with the end customer, the mine site, the quarry, the construction company, whatever it might be. A lot of times we work through a local tire service provider. So guys that are on site 24 hours a day, 7 days a week with the equipment to change tires, to service tires, repair tires, and so forth. So we had some trusted dealer partners close by us here to our facility who believed in the power of this technology if we could get it working right. So they served as a tremendous resource for Duran in order to try the different iterations of not only the sensor but also the receiver to get it to a point where we were confident that it was going to work the way that we needed it to, the way that customers demanded the system and the sensors to work in off-road applications when tire life and Delta First and other liquids are inside those tires.
Let's talk about our Heavy Industry World Tour, brought to you by Savannah Equipment, supplying mining equipment worldwide. We are heading to events across North America and Australia and filming episodes on location. Email us at info@crownsmen.com to be part of Crownsmen's Heavy Industry World Tour. Revolutionize your mining operations with MassPro's engineering excellence. Their engineering talent can transform your mining machinery, supercharge your productivity, and improve your equipment optimization. Your success is their mission, and they're prepared to take your mining operations to new heights by maximizing efficiency, safety, and ore extraction like never before. Head to masspro.com.au for further information. Hey mining enthusiasts, registration for CIM Connect 2024 Vancouver from May 12th to 15th is now open. Last year, this convention had over 6,800 participants from 60 countries, with 1,796 delegates, 702 booths, and 320 presentations. Secure your spot and register now at convention.cim.org. CIM Connect 2024, where quality and innovation define the experience. The metals and mining industry bears a significant responsibility for meeting the dual challenge of growing demand for resources and rising standards of living from an increasing global population, while also addressing the sustainability goals of the future. Aspen Technology is here to partner with industry leaders and help them achieve those objectives with solutions in areas of advanced process controls and asset performance management that utilize artificial intelligence and machine learning to optimize their mining operations for both profitability and environmental responsibility. With Aspen Tech, you'll not only reduce downtime and improve safety, but also minimize waste, lower emissions, and improve operational efficiencies. Their expert team is always available to provide support and guidance, ensuring that you reach your operational and sustainability goals. Aspen Tech, empowering the metals and mining industry to meet the dual challenge. Learn more at aspentech.com.
I want to get into the receiver system here later on in the interview because it's quite interesting. But I want to. It's sort of like stating the obvious, but I've learned on these interviews to not just bypass what you assume people already know. What are the three main or four main values that you're offering for the OTR tires?
Sure. So, the four main values. Number one, Duran offers a cost-effective solution to install for any type of equipment, any type of rubber-tired, pneumatic-tired equipment in the fleet. We offer a number of different sensor types in order to do that. By far the most popular version is an external valve stem mounted pressure and temperature sensor. So think of it as a ruggedized fancy valve cap. You walk right up to the tire and wheel, thread that sensor on the end of the valve stem, and it begins communicating pressure and temperature information immediately. So ease of installation, ease of ongoing maintenance of the system. This is mining. Things break. Things need maintenance along the way. And with Duran, being able to quickly access that tire pressure sensor, not have to completely shut the machine down,
right?
Remove the tire and wheel from the machine, dismount the rubber from the wheel. That can take a half of a day. With Duran, we can have a system back up and running in a matter of minutes once we're at the machine. So ease of install, ease of use, accuracy of the information. Making sure that if a tire is down to 75 psi, or we're running at a temperature of 175 degrees Fahrenheit, we want those alarms to go off consistently and accurately so that the machine can be shut down in a safe location at the mine site or the job site. And then the flexibility that Duran offers, depending on the needs of the end customer. If all the customer really needs is a simple, basic standalone system so their operators key the ignition on and they know what their tire pressures are,
right?
We have that. It's a more advanced site that wants the tire pressure data flowing back through to their control room or a mine office, into their systems. We're able to provide that data in a useful format. For a tire service provider, if they want to log into a mobile app to see where the equipment is, what their tire pressures are, any assets that have an alarm condition, offload data or upload, download data for pressure and temperature history for a machine, for a tire. With all these different options, all these different paths we can take, depending on what the needs of that end customer are.
I was curious because, like, sorry, this is some layman commentary, but in my car, I don't on the stem. There's not a sensor; it's just the regular stem. So whatever that sensing system is different. What would they have used what would the opposite be of that? The stem just it seems to make so much sense, especially with the like I said, we've done so many actually specifically tire episodes on this show.
Sure.
So I have a pretty good understanding over the years of even we've shown some of the machines that have to take off the tires and just what that takes. It's incredible. What would be what would it be another way to even monitor these systems without the stem seems so obvious now. But
Sure.
what were they doing
If we
before?
back it up a number of steps, the most simple and basic way to check tire pressure
Oh
is to
yeah.
shut the truck or the wheel loader or the grader down, put a gauge on it, and visually check the tire. Okay, you're checking air pressure. It's a snapshot in time right there where you're at the machine. When we move into something like tire pressure monitoring systems, now we can look at different sensing technologies. Okay, as I mentioned, Duran offers an external valve stem mounted tire pressure sensor, easy to install, easy to maintain, super rugged. There are other providers that will put the sensor inside the tire and wheel. Okay, with also providing accurate tire pressure, tire temperature information, but much more challenging on the installation, the ongoing maintenance. It could be a sensor that's glued to the inner liner of the tire itself. Could be a sensor that's mounted to a magnet that adheres to the wheel. Again, they all provide pressure and temperature data until they don't. Inside the tire, much more complicated. Some people might think that an external sensor is exposed to more harsh conditions. In a way, yes, they are, but you pour gallons and gallons of liquid inside a tire that's bouncing around a haul road, that's
Yeah.
heating up, that's cooling down,
Yeah.
and now you put an electronic sensor in there. That is a challenging application.
Bentech Group is an industry leader when it comes to design, engineering, and manufacturing. Bentech specializes in engineered safety and efficiency equipment such as access platforms, heavy-duty workbenches, work stands and trestles, material and equipment storage, and a range of lifting and handling solutions to maximize safety for your personnel. But that's not their only area of expertise. Bentech also supply high-performance OEM replacement parts for mobile equipment. Bentech's rocks mining parts are built better, eliminating downtime and maximizing efficiency. Visit bentechgroup.com.au today to explore their range. Introducing RemScan by Ziltech, the game changer for rapid hydrocarbon soil measurement. Get accurate petroleum hydrocarbon readings in under 30 seconds. No consumables, no wait time. Just scan your sample for on-the-spot result. Perfect for emergency spill response, spill delineation, excavation chasing, and bioremediation monitoring. RemScan is trusted by top industries and backed by independent verifications. Make real-time decisions without the lab wait or expense. Discover more at Ziltech.com or email them at info@ziltech.com. RemScan by Ziltech, the future of rapid soil assessment. Solving the complexities of operational efficiency, safety and compliance, and asset management in mining can be a significant headache. Madison Technologies understands these challenges, and with over 3 decades of industrial communications experience, they're not just a supplier, but a transformative partner in digitization. Madison Technologies accelerates the digital journey of their clients, and together with global technology vendors, they deliver practical, real-world solutions. Visit madison.tech to discover how they can help you unlock future potential with Mining 4.0 solutions.
Yeah, I'm probably losing a future guest by saying it, but it doesn't. If I was making the choice, I would want to be able to actually access the sensor. When you're talking to mining companies now, so you already clarified, are you selling direct to them or are you selling through a distributor to the actual mining
We'll
operators?
sell through any means that we can.
Right. Okay. So
I would say a small percentage of Duran's business is directly with the mine sites or the construction companies. Much more often, we're working through a local service provider or a technology provider, but we also work with a number of OEMs in the off-road space, like Volvo Construction Equipment for their wheel loaders and articulated haulers, Epiroc for underground machines, as well as Liebherr for their wheel loaders and articulated haulers.
So the feedback on those. Well, let's talk about when you deal directly with an operator. Is there a little bit of education still? Do they look at it and go, "Oh, we got to put it like that question you brought up of putting it on the outside"? What are some of those conversations like when they're talking about onboarding it into their system?
Sure. So there is training and ongoing training that Duran provides, whether we sell and work directly with the end customer, or whether we're working with local tire service provider, whether it's an equipment dealer or the OEM. We're very hands-on at each level of that distribution, in order to educate the customer, to find out where their pain points are, to learn who's going to be installing, who's going to be maintaining the equipment, who's going to get the information. It's one thing to have these systems in place and okay, we install an entire mine with all this technology. Well, then what? What
Right.
do you want the operators to do when inevitably that red light is going to turn on, letting you know that you have a low tire? Who are they supposed to contact? If the data is flowing through telemetry back to a home office, what are those team members doing with that information? Is it, oh well, okay, we have a low tire, or do they shut the machine down? Is it immediate call to the tire service provider? So we're very hands-on with anyone who is coming in contact with not only the Duran hardware, but the data and the information that's coming off of the system.
Can you just walk us through some of the just to configure it, like even the units, like the actual names of the sensor, and then I know you've got some, like I was looking at, like you've got a SmartLink TPMS tablet. You've got another one that's the Duran Connect 360. And then even the sensors themselves. Can you just sort of walk through? Like, are there different sensor sizes? Is it sort of one size fits all for the OTR? How is? Let's just start with the sensor first.
Sure, great question. So the external valve stem mounted tire pressure sensor, fully compatible with liquids inside the tires. That's relatively standard, depending no matter the size of equipment that we're working with.
Okay.
Threads right onto the end of a large bore valve stem. From there, the Duran systems, the Duran technology, kind of working our way up the ladder. You have the 360 OTR, off the road. That's our basic standalone system. Sensors report to an in-cab monitor display. So as soon as the ignition is keyed on, the operator sees a green light. Quick reference, green means good LED light if all pressures are within specifications. If any tire is low on air, there's going to be a red light warning, an audible beeping sound, and the screen is going to say low pressure PSI and lock in on that tire that's underinflated. Okay, so that's the basic standalone system. From there, we can look at technology to make a technician's job or technician's life a little bit easier in the field. Okay, a lot of times in mine sites or quarries, tire service providers, they're doing all this tire work, but maybe they don't have access to climb up in the cabin and see what the pressure readings are on that Duran screen. So with the OTR one-click system, you can utilize the Duran SmartLink tablet that you mentioned, and utilizing an application on the tablet, pull the last reported pressure and temperature data for each tire on that truck or wheel loader, all in one click of the screen. Okay, so now standing on the ground, you can be sitting in your service truck. You can see, okay, truck number 105, all my tire pressures are within spec. That tablet is multifunction, so it also allows you to walk around and manually enter tire serial number, tire tread. You can also take pictures of the tires. If there's cracks in the tires or damage to the wheel, you can now document that, save it to the tablet in a time and date stamped file, and then upload it or physically connect it to a laptop or a desktop. And now you have a historical reference on that air check, on that asset, on that particular tire.
Something like that must have become like now with all this maintenance and safety, all the things that are now just, I mean, they're mandatory on so many of these sites, and not just mandatory, they always have been, but at another level. Is this becoming have you noticed an increase in popularity for demand?
We have.
Yeah.
The off-road side of Duran's business continues to grow, and it really is not dependent upon economic conditions in the mining industry.
Interesting.
These trucks, this equipment it's always running. There may be more, there may be less. Some minerals might be up, some might be down, but the safety of the technicians and the operators and the team members at the different mine sites, the safety of the equipment, protecting the investment in tires, that never changes. Okay, and the Duran technology really helps in all of those areas. So moving from the basic standalone system to the one click, now we look at how do we get that data off of the machines. Duran has the capability to tie into really any third-party telemetry or telematics provider through whatever data communication protocol they want, whether it's RS-232, J1939, J1939 CAN bus, Bluetooth, etc. We have our own proprietary solutions. One is called Duran Connect. Think of that in terms of a cellular-based GPS fleet management type system. The other is Yard Check, where we create a broad wireless coverage area at the mine site. And any assets that enter into that coverage area or operating in that coverage area, data will upload to the cloud every 15 minutes. So you're not tracking it real time, but you're getting 15-minute increments of data, which in many cases is more than sufficient for the customer.
I've been adding I've sort of added a new section on to a lot of these interviews, and sort of not a very funny joke, but the little joke I've been making is I can just imagine people watching these interviews and going, "Can you just please ask this? This is what I need to know." I'm asking everything but the question. So what are some common questions that you're getting, especially on the OTR side? What are either, maybe it's the Volvos, maybe it's the actual operators. What are some of the things they're needing from you when they're trying to either deliver it to their clients or they're thinking about onboarding? Are there a couple questions that sort of stand out that are, key questions in making sure that decision happens?
Sure. First and foremost, customers will ask, will the sensor work with tire life? Will the sensor work with liquids inside the tire?
That's a big one.
And 9-10 years ago, the answer to that was, oh, maybe, or it kind of depends. Today, unequivocally, yes, that sensor is designed from the ground up to work with liquids inside the tire, and I'll take it to any mine site, put it on any tire in the world, and it's going to hold up and it's going to work. From there, it's, can you get me the data via this? Or do you have something where I can just pull up an app on my phone and see my tire pressures? The answer is yes. Beyond that, okay, what's your warranty? How long are the sensors going to last? Do you provide on-site training and support? Yes, we do. We're in this industry. We understand the challenges. We understand the needs of the service providers, of the mine sites. So we're able to support the customers in the field all over the world.
That this Yard Check 360, you actually have a nice video. We'll be playing that during this interview. Is there? I mean, from I'm assuming the answer is no. There really isn't a limit. But what's the limit of sort of radius? Is it manageable up to a certain number of fleets? What would that look like at a large scale operation?
Sure, large scale application. If we're talking 100 trucks at a large mining site, there's no issue with that number of assets reporting in through Yard Check. It's very, very quick updates of data that are flowing through. So we're not bogging down a Wi-Fi network trying to connect to Wi-Fi or anything like that. So the way that Yard Check works is we install a gate reader, and by installing this gate reader, it's a box that we plug in. We've installed it on an electric shovel at the bottom of a pit before. We've installed them at scale houses. We've installed them on a generator. We've put them on a trailer that gets rolled around to different areas of a mine depending on where they might be mining at that given time. So we provide power to this box, and it creates a wireless coverage area anywhere from a half mile to a mile and a half in all directions, depending on kind of line of sight and the terrain and so forth. So we create this very broad coverage area, and then anytime assets roll into that zone, into that Yard Check area, either stored information from when it was outside of the zone, or if they're operating within that coverage area, every 15 minutes we're sending data to the cloud for both pressure and temperature information for all the tires on the machine.
Oh, sorry. Can there be like multi-zone, like if a site, some of these open pits, they're just the scale of them, like mines in Peru, and they're just these giant operations. Can you interconnect multiple um
You, Jared, you
systems?
read my mind.
Oh,
So we've also installed multiple gate readers at different areas in the mine site, so that we can either cover the entire mine,
mm,
or we cover kind of the hot spots
the
where we
through
know the
lines.
equipment is
Yeah.
running into or throughout the day. And that way we can dial in and see, okay, at this point in time, this truck was fine, but by the time it made it over to this gate reader, 10 minutes later, 30 minutes later, now we've got a low pressure issue, and we can really jump on that equipment much more rapidly.
Can you just walk us through a couple so I'd like to try to make this, some of these interviews as real world as we possibly can, and just talk about some of the locations that you're actually operating in, what some of their I don't know if you can get into configurations. I don't know if that's, proprietary, but or like private information to those companies, but at least walk through some of the locations, some of the operators that have the system in place.
Sure. So here in the U.S., probably our largest mining customer is Peabody Coal, both the Bear Run and Wild Boar mines in Indiana, and they've been long-time Duran clients, working through a local tire service provider in Indiana. Looking at Australia, where you just were filming a number of episodes, working with our dealer partner there, LSM Technologies. They're actively working with South 32, Rio Tinto, BHP, and other mines. In Peru, we have quite a bit of business with our partner PTS, who's on site working at the Marcona mines, Cosapi, San Martin. If we go underground, Mississippi Lime in Missouri, the Cullinan diamond mine in South Africa. Running a variety of different configurations. Some want the simple basic standalone, others want the one click, others we tie into telemetry, whether it's a fleet management system, could be a geotab, could be Duran Connect, depending on the needs of the customer, as well as yard check.
You also mentioned you mentioned that you work with OEMs earlier on. What is that setup? Are they dealing? Is that just integrated then into their systems, or is that like an add-on for the client? What? How is that delivered?
Sure. So working with the OEMs, Duran is working directly with the OEM and their product development teams, their engineering teams, project managers, product owners. Depending on who the OEM is, those systems are installed at the factory, fully integrated into the electronic systems
Mm,
of the machine. The Duran data shows up on their in-cab screen with a graphical interface. Could be a line listing of axles and tire
right.
positions with pressure and temperature. All the provisioning of the system is done through their in-cab screen. We're providing the data to them.
So in a system like that is it's very much out of my. I've never been really involved in that type of business. I've always sort of been fascinated. I get into a vehicle and I look at it, I know all these parts and pieces are coming from different companies that put together that system. Is that does the systems evolve like over the last, let's say, 5 years when you have those partnerships? Is the system always sort of needing to be upgraded, or is it really about creating a really consistent thing so that that's another part that they don't have to worry about when they're putting? I mean, they're just dumping all types of technology into these vehicles now.
Yes. So what we try to do, from the very beginning, working with an OEM, is to design a very robust system that's not going to need update after update after update. We provide them the data in the format that they require. We provide again, a rugged, durable system that's going to hold up to the demands of the equipment once it gets out into the field and starts working. Not to say that we don't continually advance and improve the product along the way. As Duran makes advancements and the customer makes advancements on their machines, we're going to continue to develop and continue to bring new products to market. In some cases, with backwards compatibility to other sensors and other things that are in the field. In other cases, it's going to be a completely new solution from the ground up.
What is the main difference with the on-road side of the business to the off-road? Is there a different type of communication, different that the
So
customer
the
communication?
so the difference between on highway and off road, I mentioned at the very beginning, when Duran first got into the off road space in 2009, we thought we could just make a bigger version of our on highway sensor to accommodate a large bore valve stem. And man, we couldn't have been further from further from hitting the mark there. The sensor itself, not really understanding what tire life was, depress a valve core and have tire life spraying out at it, like, oh, this is going to be a problem, I think. And then from the receiver side, in on highway applications, typically it's all 12 volt. Off road, it's almost always 24 volt. So we're like, oh my gosh, looking back now, almost 15 years later,
Wow.
we didn't know anything other than that that we can provide a solution here that's going to help people. And these are our pneumatic tires. And it's almost laughable now, but we've got a really, really powerful solution. And again, I go back to the partners that we've worked with from day one and their patience and working with Duran and really from them saying, hey, we have a potential vendor partner here who understands the challenges that we're dealing with and is diving headfirst in to come up with solutions to make our lives easier, make everything safer so that everyone can go home at the end of the day. And every one of those dealers is still working with Duran today. They're some of the greatest people on the planet to work with. My wife hears the stories from them all the time, all the team members here at Duran in the office. For those who get to meet them, understand what I'm talking about, and just great people all over the world that we're able to work with.
You've done a really good job of like pushing into that market. So 15 years ago, Duran wasn't even in that market at all then. Am I understanding that right? And then you start to try
Correct.
to move into it. So where is it at now? I mean, you mentioned some of the places. Is that part of your, I know you're across the globe. Does that include the OTR side?
It does. So we have Duran TPMS in, I think the count now is 52 countries around the world. And some of the largest mines in the world, some smaller quarries all across the country. 400-ton ultra class haul trucks down to 4-wheel pickup trucks. Really any application where you're running pneumatic tires, Duran has a presence and is able to provide a cost-effective solution for the end customer.
Actually, I wanted
all of that by design from the day we started. Oh gosh, no. Sometimes it's dumb luck where you stumble into something. Other times the phone rings and they say, hey, we see that you do this. Is there any way that it would work in this application?
Right.
So we put our heads together and say, yeah, we think it'll work. Let's try it. If it does, great. If it doesn't, but it just requires a modification, okay, let's see if we can do that. And unfortunately, sometimes we have to say, you know what, it's not going to work for you.
What would be an example of that where the application wouldn't be, it wouldn't be a fit?
Early on, we had we offered a system for a motorcycle application.
Oh, okay.
2 wheels on a motorcycle and a group of airplane builders were wanting to monitor the tire pressure on their planes so that they knew when they were taking off before they landed if they had any low pressure issues that could potentially be catastrophic when they hit the ground. And we just weren't comfortable in saying, yes, it's going to work. And in that application, it was, you know what, we're not even really comfortable with you trying it.
Right.
You need something that's more specifically designed, passes all the different certifications for, through the FAA and so forth. So we politely backed away from that
right.
one.
So in a mining operation, though, there's not really like the extreme weather conditions and hot, cold, all that stuff. That's not high dust areas. Like none of those things are affected.
No, I have not encountered that. In fact, probably I would say the absolute roughest application that I've seen the Duran system working properly and providing benefit in is in steel mill and slag applications. Whether it's a wheel loader picking up a pile of slag in a steel mill, or a slag pot carrier carrying molten metal and spilling over the sides on the tires. It's like, oh my gosh, we're in Armageddon here.
Yeah, that's crazy stuff.
But the sensors are holding up and the systems are working. And you talk about providing an additional level of safety for an operator in that application.
Yeah.
It has tremendous benefits.
I want to just get a technical clarification on something. So if you're providing it to a manufacturer as opposed to, let's say, an operator, maybe they've got an older fleet and they want to onboard and do better monitoring, are all the same systems available? Obviously, it's going to look different. If it's in a Volvo and it's actually integrated into their dashboard, I think if I understood that right, as opposed to you're handing them a monitor that's going to get mounted in the machine. But is all the applications, all the data accessibility, the 360, is all of that still available no matter sort of where you're coming at it from?
In the simplest terms, yes. The pressure and the temperature data and those alarm notifications, all of that is available from the basic standalone system all the way up the ladder to being fully integrated into the machine. Now, the receiving hardware and the display of that information will be a little bit different. Okay, for the basic standalone 360 OTR system, that's a simple screen that gets mounted in the cabin of the equipment, provide power and ground, key it on, you see the data. Okay, when we're working with an OEM, typically it's with a more OEM type solution where it's tying directly into their J1939 CAN bus. We're working closely with their software and firmware development teams to graphically display the data the way that they want it so that it fits in to whatever software platform that they're running on that machine. So the data looks the same, the information looks somewhat the same, the sensors are the same, but how we get that data displayed can be quite a bit different.
Right. And then I think the last question I do want to lead, and it's an important one, is just expectations. When people are coming in, if an operator or someone, they're a quarry, whatever it is, small to large fleets, if they're thinking about reaching out, what should expectation be from sort of the day one to the onboarding? The question you brought up, training, making sure the data actually makes sense to them. What should the expectation be?
Sure. So we really try and work in a consultative way with the end customers. Okay, what do you want the system to do? What is the pain point? What is the problem that you're looking to solve? Okay, did you scrap a bunch of new tires because they had cuts in the sidewalls or they were run flat and you have plenty of tread left, but you ran the tire flat and now it's completely shot? So we'd really try and dial in on what we're trying to solve, how it's going to help the customer, and then work it all the way through the process with them. So, okay, the first step, let's get a system to you or multiple systems, depending on the size of the operation. We'll work with you to get them installed. We're going to teach the drivers, teach the operators on that first batch of test trucks what this is, work with your technicians on what they can expect, what things are going to look like as these trucks, as these loaders get into the pit, get into the mine site, and start running. From there, we try and consult with, okay, now we're running this. Okay, what are your expectations? What do you feel the next steps are going to be? How long do you need to run them to prove the durability to you, but also to determine, okay, how are we going to use this data? And a lot of times that can take a couple of days. Sometimes it takes a few months to work through all of those details, whether it's with the tire service provider or with the end customer. But once all of that meshes together, now it's a matter of, okay, are you going to outfit the entire fleet as fast as possible? Are you going to bring in 5 to 10 units a month until you get everything up and running? Who's going to install them? What level of support do you need from Duran on site through that process? Do we need to come back in a number of months and do a refresher training? So we're really trying to be proactive from the very beginning to make sure that we get the right solution and it can be successful for all the different stakeholders.
I'll promise this is the last question, but I want to ask it. Is
got all afternoon.
I've taken people into some deep waters. a couple times. But how often when you're coming on site, and I know some companies, their maintenance crew, but there's also a kind of a little bit of a theme that's been coming up on is that there are people are having trouble. There's worker shortages right now, so maintenance, monitoring, it's just that much more challenging now. So I imagine that's more demand for Duran, of course. But I'm just curious, have you run into situations where someone onboard your fleet and realized, 20% of the tire pressures were wrong, things like that, or like changing weather conditions. They weren't updating that at the right times, things like that.
I won't name names,
Oh,
but
wow, that's no
but I
fun.
was on site
I'm kidding.
last week with one of the new team members here at Duran, as well as our lead field service technician, and we installed four systems with the Duran Connect fleet management system on some Komatsu haul trucks, and every truck that we installed a system on had a critically underinflated tire. And look, we understand going in, production wins. But what we were able to do was notify the customer, and they were able to see it right there on their phones that, okay, at least now we know these trucks have these low tires. We're in contact with our tire service provider. They're going to have a truck up here overnight, and we'll get these tires aired up. Now we log into the portal, I pull it up on my app, and we've got 4 trucks running all in green, and we can look at each one of those pressures and temperatures throughout the day and throughout the night, and know that they're operating safe again. So it is completely common when we go
Wow.
to do an installation that there's at least one tire that's at some level of underinflation.
Well, I remember years ago. I don't think I brought this up last time I was talking to you. I might have, but I remember years ago. I forget. It was like his first term or something. I remember Obama said, "If people want to save X amount of dollars, it was high gas prices or something. Is one of those things." And he said, "If everybody just inflated their tires to the right, it
Put
would
air in your tires.
it would save this much more." And everybody just freaked out. It was a big media thing. And I remember just saying, going, "Well, yeah, that's kind of right, though. That's he's actually right." And
It
I'm
is.
guilty for it. And just
In its
the
most
cost.
simplest terms,
Yeah,
we get calls all the time. And typically it happens just like it is right now in Ohio. The weather's kind of taking this turn. Winter's right around the corner. Tires that were operating right on that threshold of being inflated properly to just being underinflated a little bit, our phones light up. Hey, the system, the red light's on. It's saying I have low pressure. Like, what's the screen saying? Oh, 82 psi. Well, what do you want in the tire? Well, it should be at 100. Well, put air in the tire.
right,
The light's going to go off, and if that pressure keeps dropping, you've got something in the tire that's causing
right.
a leak.
It's just a
If you
major
air it up and it
cost.
maintains it at that pressure, then you're okay.
Yeah, it's such a huge. I mean, we're talking huge costs. I mean, the tire, just the cost of the tires. If you're wearing them out, 10% more, or the machine's having to work 5% harder. I mean, all these things. Like these aren't a few dollars. We're talking millions and millions of dollars over time if it's not done right.
Absolutely. I mean, tires that are 5,000, 10,000, $25,000 and more, um, all that can be completely scrapped from running 5% underinflated for a prolonged period of time. Like, put air in the tire. You could buy a house with, with the money you spent on the tires on that asset. Keep them aired up. And,
Yeah,
and Duran offers a very cost effective solution to notify you immediately if any of those tires are low.
yeah. No, it's no, I love having you on the show. It's now the second. I think we're doing a third one. As long as you stick with us. And I have all my peppering coming at you. But I really enjoy it, and your company is just so solid. And I compliment different companies about different things because they have different strengths. And right from when I first talked to Jim, it was just you're just such a solid company. You know your product, you know your value, you know what the customers are needing from you. And that sounds simple, but you'd be shocked at how many companies just don't have that very clear understanding of exactly who they are and where they fit into the system. So it's so nice to be able to just go right down the line. This is what you're doing for the clients. So Lee, thanks for doing it again. And while we're recording this one, and we're in November already, which is crazy. So I guess the third one's probably in the new year.
It definitely, looking at my calendar, it's going to have to be in the new year, but it's definitely flying by. And going back to your comments about Duran, I really appreciate that. It really starts from day one with the people that we have here. As I close my door to start this interview, we have potential new team members that are here interviewing today. We're growing. We're trying to find good people to join our team and continue what we've started well into the future.
Yeah, it's exciting to see, and I'm glad we're doing multiple, so we can kind of follow get a little snapshot into that story, because that's part of the fun of doing the show. Lee, thank you very much, and we'll talk again soon.
Sounds great, Jared. Take care now.
And thank you, everybody, for watching. We will have links to some of the specifics, not just Duran's website, but some of their specifics for the OTR side. And go check them out. And as well, you can. I mean, once you're on their website, you'll see the other things they offer for on road as well. And as well as their LinkedIn, you can connect directly with their team. We'll put LinkedIn connections there in the description. If you're on LinkedIn, you're happening to see this. We'll be tagging them and everything like that. So make sure to go check them out and follow them. Thank you to their entire team for putting this together, and thank you for watching. Thank you to our sponsors. We will see you on the next episode of Mining Now.